What is good, everybody? It is Ben here with the Stage Break, episode 10. It's been about a week since I recorded. Last week's race schedule got me all types of messed up, made the week feel a little weird. Had some car troubles this morning, but we back, we thrive, and ready to record. We're going to talk about Texas, all things that went down, all things rain. We had some bigger news come out for seats being filled in 2021. We had a truck race last night. We had a truck race and Xfinity race at Texas. We're going to preview the Cup race and the Xfinity race today and tomorrow. And we're going to make some DraftKings lineups for Xfinity and Cup. Did not do that well with the trucks last night, but it's quite all right. Looking to make some money today or tomorrow, huh? Try to end off even. I get so close every time I make a lineup in DraftKings. I'll be in like the top 5 for a while, be winning $20, and then the last 50 laps come around and nowhere to be found. But we're going to win money before the end of this year. We got 5 more opportunities to win money. 5 races left, if I'm not mistaken. So let's go get some money, boys. Let's go win some money today. But starting right off, we're just going to get right into the Texas race. I made a podcast in about a week. I was thinking about doing one during the rain delay on Tuesday, but I didn't really know what I would talk about. I didn't really want to talk about just rain for 30 minutes. There was probably enough in that truck race to go over for about 30 minutes, but we'll get to the Ben Rhodes shit specifically because that was probably the most polarizing of that event. But let's get right into it. We'll get right into Ben Rhodes because that's something that has been on my mind heavy for the past week, definitely, because they just finished their race yesterday, expected a whole lot of payback coming his way, and took about 199 laps to get it, and I can't really say it was payback, more just like, hey, get out of my way, I'm going to try to beat you. But man, Ben Rhodes absolutely obliterated Christian Eckes at Texas. No question. First time I saw the replay, absolutely a blatant move. It felt like Ben Rhodes needs to win. Christian Eckes wasn't in the playoffs. He probably felt there was the safest option to crash this guy because it wouldn't affect Christian Eckes' championship's hope because he's not running for one, and it would hopefully benefit Ben Rhodes if he got another restart and got up there and maybe mixed it up for a win. Didn't happen either way, didn't advance to the Final Four, and rightfully so. I mean, ball don't lie. You wreck a guy to try to get an opportunity, I don't think the opportunities are going to come your way. And there was many, many, many drivers pissed off at Ben Rhodes, and literally, I'm pretty sure only 1 or 2 got into his bumper. Crazy impressed. People were calling him out on Twitter left and right. Christian Eckes didn't do no Matt Kenseth type shit, although we don't really need to see that. Matt Kenseth at Martinsville wrecking Logano was quite unnecessary, but boy was it a storyline. But yeah, I mean, he was moving Lassard out of the way. He has no regard for the KBM drivers, and it really showed the past couple weeks, but there is 1 race left. He's not racing for a title, so I think maybe a driver would be more than okay with moving him out of the way once or twice. Nothing really on the line except for a dub, and I think everyone's going to be trying to go for it. And if there was a series for a driver to not win a championship race and win the championship, we've already seen it in the trucks. So expect anything next Sunday. I wonder when they probably race Friday night, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Maybe they'll do a doubleheader Saturday championship event at Phoenix. I'll check the schedule right now, actually, because I'm pretty sure it's a Friday night race. They normally do stuff like that for the trucks, considering last night was, and let's see what we got. Ooh, that's next year. Here we go. Oop, goddamn, wrong fucking picture. Here we go. Friday, November 6th. Okay. So, Friday night, we got some truck racing, truck championship going on. Let's see. It is Brett Moffitt, Sheldon Creed, Zane Smith, and Grant Enfinger with a clutch win last night to get himself in the Final Four. It's basically GMS versus Grant Enfinger. So if you're a Chevy, you're liking your opportunities to win the championship, especially GMS. I love GMS because I feel like they're right there. It goes Hendrick, Junior Motorsports, GMS for Chevy camps, in my opinion. I feel like they're a big Chevy stable for up-and-coming drivers. I feel like they can create a lot of talent and put people in good opportunities for a Chevy development program coming up. So they got a 75% chance of winning this championship, maybe finish 1, 2, 3 in the championship. I assume that's their goal. But it's going to be an exciting race to watch, how these teammates going to play with each other when it comes to winning a championship. Zane Smith in his first Final Four, Sheldon Creed in his first Final Four, Enfinger, I'm not really sure, but Brett Moffitt is a champion, so there's a 75% chance GMS wins, and there's a 75% chance we get a new champion. So, going to be a fun race to watch. Let's see what else we got. For the trucks, at least, I want to try to knock out each series at once. Makes it a little easier, Try to get it all going. Grant Enfinger, yeah, wicked clutch performance. He was not getting denied last night. Every time he would start on the inside row, and first and that second place driver on the outside would be digging. And I think if any of the drivers watched last night's race, that is something to look for. At least at the end of the race, end of a stage, you got a quick little stint. If you start on that outside line in second, you have a relatively decent opportunity to maintain that lead. There were a couple passes. I know Johnny Sauter made one, and it really all depends if someone takes you 3 wide and moves you out of the groove, because the outside line was relatively digging last night. But I think there's supposed to be some rain Sunday morning in Martinsville, so whether rubber is going to be washed off. I don't really know if they use PJ1 at a track like Martinsville. It doesn't really seem necessary. I hope they don't, but there might not be much rubber on the track Sunday afternoon, so we'll see how that outside line works today in Xfinity, and if it holds any benefit later in the race, definitely it'll be something to look for a driver trying to steal a win, maybe get a spot into the playoff or the championship for a couple drivers. But just about all the drivers that are not above the cut line need to win. It's quite the gap between 4th and 5th. But 82 of the 200 laps last night in the truck race were under caution. That is damn near half the race. It felt like it was dragging on, and I didn't want to complain because the race was entertaining to watch. There was action left and right, and these drivers are trying to do everything to gain every spot they could. But when half the race is run under caution, that seems problematic in a cutoff race where literally everything is on the line for some of these drivers, and some of their careers are on the line, their legacy, whatever you want to say. I don't think half the race should be run under caution. Like, there was a caution with 8 to go, and then they came back green with a green-white checker. Like, how's that real, bro? Carson Hocevar spun, got moving back again right away. I don't think you need to take 6 laps of caution to try to get some overtime BS, try to fabricate a finish. Regardless if it was good or not, Enfinger probably would have won regardless of the scenario. I know Crafton was pissed off because he felt he had an opportunity and that the cautions were running too long. And, like, fair enough. If a driver who feels like they got, quote, screwed maybe out of a situation is going to be upset with that. And specifically, a lot of people agreed that there were way too many caution laps, and it felt like it was getting drug on. And, like, fabricate a finish is probably the best term I can use for it. NASCAR probably wanted the most exciting opportunity. Maybe they felt like they were running out of time on the broadcast, whatever. Like, there wasn't much time. There wasn't a lot of post-race interviews, honestly. So maybe they felt like their time was running up. They wanted to try to get it all in, not have to move channels like they tend to do at the end of races. But we made our final 4. Brett Moffitt, Sheldon Creed, Zane Smith, Grant Enfinger, as previously stated. If I had to pick one to win the championship, I think Sheldon Creed is just too damn consistent. It's going to be between him and Moffitt in my eyes, unless Enfinger comes and steals another clutch win. But Moffitt and Creed have definitely been the strongest cars. Zane Smith had a fire summer couple months. He was on a roll, got that win at Michigan. I want to say he finished second the week before or something. He rattled off a quick couple wins, and people were like, this kid is for real. Made the championship 4, had a safe race last night, did everything he needed to do to get there, and now he's racing for a championship. So it's going to be fun to watch. But Brett Moffitt, man, he is a veteran of all types. He deserves to be out of the truck series. Not that the truck series is a detriment, because there are veterans of the truck series, but that man should be in a cup car sooner than later. It is getting to be the point that is a shame that he is not getting the opportunities. He tears shit up for that 02 car in Xfinity, a brand new team, finishing top 10s more than he ever should. So if that doesn't show you anything about his talent, you need to look other places. But yeah, I'm going to go with Sheldon Creed for winning this championship. I feel like he has by far been the strongest driver throughout the entire season. Always up front, winning races, leading laps just about every single race. Feels like he starts on the front row every single race. So I'm going to go Sheldon Creed. I feel like he has put together the best season out of all the truckers in my eyes so far. On an absolute roll. No one is going to stop him unless it's his teammates or Grant Enfinger gets into him. And Grant Enfinger showed, bro, he's willing to bump and run and side draft all he can to keep these leads. So it's going to be a super fun race to watch. I know Sheldon had a little trouble. Maybe there was a couple, the last 40 laps of last night's race, I swear to God, was 5 laps caution, 5 laps caution, 5 laps caution. So it's hard to pick which caution I'm thinking of, but there was definitely one where Moffitt went 3 wide, or tried to go under Enfinger, and Enfinger blocked and ended up getting up into Sheldon and giving him trouble. But as long as Sheldon stays out of trouble, I think he's going to be the guy to beat in Phoenix. We'll move on to Xfinity because there's a bunch of actual news that came out. The whole schedule for next year got dropped yesterday, and it's kind of unfortunate looking at it. The only difference between this and the Cup schedule is Mid-Ohio. So there's only one standalone race compared to the 3, 4, 5 that they used to have. But to be fair, the Cup Series is going to some of these tracks like Road America and the Indy Road Course and Circuit of the Americas, all them. So it's still going to be a good Xfinity season. It just sucks seeing a track like Iowa getting kicked off the schedule, which is one that people have felt like Cup should have been going there for years. But now their entire future is uncertain. So it's sad to see tracks dying and teams closing, and it's a unhealthy decline for certain things in NASCAR. But as long as other tracks perform, like if Road America has a good Cup date, if Circuit of the Americas has a good Cup date, are people going to miss Iowa? I don't really know. I do think it should be at least on the truck schedule, and should maybe ARCA. I don't know. That track should be hosting some sort of top tier races as many as they can, because it shouldn't just close like this. People have been wanting more short tracks since the frickin' 70s or the 90s. Literally forever, people have been asking for more short tracks, and to think that one is closing sucks for the future of what people want the schedule to look like. A lot of road courses, not as many short tracks, and having one say peace for the time being is no bueno. No bueno. We got another cutoff race today. Brandon Jones, I expect to have a great day. Ran the truck race yesterday. Brett Moffitt did as well. I'm not sure if Austin Hill is running Xfinity today, but for specifically a driver like Brett Moffitt, and even Austin Hill at times, who does run trucks Xfinities every so often, but Brett Moffitt more than the most. Brett Moffitt had a great race last night. I want to say he finished top 5, and those laps matter so much at a race specifically like this, considering Xfinity has not been there in 15 years. Not one of these drivers in the field has ever been an Xfinity car at this track. All of them have either been a couple Cup starts or truck starts previous in their career. So this is the most wild card race outside of something like Talladega for the Xfinity Series, all playoffs. No one has been here in this type of car. There's no practice, no qualifying. A lot of bumpers. I assume tempers are going to flare. I wonder how long the race is. I'd assume 300 laps if I had to guess, based off how they kind of do short tracks. Like, I feel like their Bristol races are normally 300, so I'll go for something like that. But it's going to be super exciting. None of these drivers have ever been there. A driver like Brandon Jones, I expect to have a good day. He ran well in the truck race last night, and those laps matter. Brett Moffitt, there was a race. Maybe it was Kansas. They raced a Texas and Xfinity in the same day. And I want to say Brett Moffitt and Austin Hill both finished top 5 in the trucks and top 10 in the Xfinity. So laps matter when you have 0 laps at a track, specifically 0 laps at a track in a certain type of car. If you have any laps on a track from the day previous, you're going to have a rhythm. You're going to be more ready to take on the challenges that the race brings you, even if the cars are astronomically different from each other. You got a rhythm, you got a feel, you maybe get a braking zone and how to roll through the corner, or what didn't work last night maybe could work today if you have a little more horsepower under the engine, things like that. Things of that nature I think matter so much. So I expect a guy like Brandon Jones, who is outside the cutoff looking in, I believe only by 4 points. 4 points he's out. So, that's not a lot. That's a stage. If he has a good stage, Justin Haley has a bad stage, he's already in. He's in the first one. So as long as he has a consistent race, finishes in the top 5, gets those points, Brandon Jones is definitely a driver I can see sneaking into that championship 4. Chastain is also on the outside looking in. He's minus 15 right now, and with how competitive the people that he's racing against are and how you'd expect them to be all up at the front, I think he might need to win unless someone like Cindric or Briscoe, Briscoe won, so I'm pretty sure he's advanced. I gotta look at the Xfinity playoffs. I was just looking at them. But I feel like Chastain is going to need to win, and excuse me, my God. Someone like him or Allgaier probably have the most Cup starts at Martinsville. Xfinity NASCAR standings. So any laps at all, like most of these guys haven't been here in years, or a couple years, maybe in the truck series. So Chastain raced the last 4 races at Martinsville, the 2018, 2019, not this year. He's driving a crappy car, but still laps on a racetrack. That's 2,000 Martinsville laps more than a lot of these other drivers. All right, let's look. So a driver like Allgaier +8 and Haley +4, they're the ones that you got to be nervous about. Even Cindric's only +14 in second place. So there could be a lot of things going on here if a driver has trouble. So Cindric, Allgaier, Haley, if any of them has trouble, there's a place for Brandon Jones and Ross Chastain to move up. But with the way that the way that Colleague kind of runs their team and how they're very help each other aspect, help each other get to the front, work with each other. I know that's more of a super speedway type deal and a lot easier there, but they got 3 cars in this race, so I think they're going to do all they can to try to get Chastain and Haley both in the Final Four. Having someone like Allmendinger steal a win from an Allgaier or a Cindric to help them advance, I think they're going to do all they can to try to get those 2 cars in the Final Four. A very team-oriented squad, so I think they're going to do all they can, and Chastain is probably the only driver outside these top 4 between Brandon Jones, Ross Chastain, Gragson, and Ryan Sieg I could see winning this race. I believe Gragson got his first truck win at Martinsville, so that's something to think about too. He could sneak up there and get a good win. But I'm gonna Ross Chastain, I think, is the only outside the cut line looking in I can see stealing a win. And Haley I could see getting knocked out pretty easy. Just I don't know if this track fits his driving style. I feel like he's more of a big track kind of guy, and I feel like he could get into trouble real quick. So if I could pick a Final Four for the Xfinity Series, I'm going Briscoe, Cindric, Ross Chastain, Brandon Jones. I'm going to go that the 2 drivers outside the cut line make it up in. Allgaier and Haley get eliminated. Going to have some fun on this Saturday afternoon. Wish it was a night race. Damn. Every Martinsville night race you watch, you just want the next one to be at night because, boy, that shit gets wild. But it's going to be a fun afternoon anyway. Really excited to see how it plays out. Harrison Burton I feel like a playoff driver is going to win this Xfinity race, but a driver like Harrison Burton, damn, winning that race last week the way he won it, I think he's on a roll, high confidence. I think he could put himself in a position to have a good finish too, even if it means not winning a championship, just adding another trophy to the case. So he's probably the only non-playoff driver I could see maybe sneaking in and getting a win, top 3 finish. But reiterate, Chase Briscoe, Austin Cindric, Brandon Jones, Ross Chastain. You heard it here first. That will be the Final Four for Xfinity for sure. All right, well, any other Xfinity news we got before we move on to Cup? Let's see. Okay, yeah, we actually got a couple things. So Austin Hill announced full-time next year for trucks and part-time Xfinity. Kind of what he's been running this year, but I assume part-time Xfinity means well over the 8 or 9 races and that might even be more than he actually has ran, but I assume part-time to be around 15 to 20 races, and which is nice. He's a competitive driver, and that's a newer team getting in up Xfinity. He races for Hattori in Xfinity too, and they've been racing part-time and actually being relatively competitive, so I hope Hattori stays with themselves and doesn't make a JGR alliance, because that means they're going to close sooner than later because JGR has a monopoly over Toyota. So I hope they stay on their own path. I hope they make their own cars. I hope they don't take any JGR bullshit and just go and try to be their own successful Toyota team because we're running out of them. And I'm not a Toyota fan, but it's not good for a manufacturer when you have 4, 5, 6 cars in a field, 4 of them race for the same team, and the other 2 are probably getting cars from this one team. Definitely the 95 is, so at least 5 of the 6 are you getting cars from Joe Gibbs Racing, which is stupid. And I'm sure there's other teams like that. Like maybe does Hendrick even have a quote alliance team this year? Like there's nothing as close to the 95 being a Joe Gibbs car as there is any other team being a part of any other squad. There is 5 Joe Gibbs Racing cars, and they all monopolize the Toyota logo on the front. So I hope Hattori just sticks to themselves, stays in their own Toyota lane, doesn't take anything from Joe Gibbs, and just keeps chugging. Maybe get a Cup car. You'd assume, they race everything. They race ARCA trucks, Xfinity. So you'd assume they want to make their way up to Cup. Please, just don't make an alliance with Joe Gibbs. For the sake of your team, for the sake of the manufacturer, just stick to your roots. Keep doing what you're doing because it's shown to be successful, and it's fun to root for you. It's not fun to root for a team that's a 5th car for another team, so please just stay on your own lane. You got it. Any other Xfinity news before we move on? Let's see. We talked about the schedule. A little bit upset by it, but you know what? We're gonna get over that real quick. All right, let's move right on to Cup. We'll start with the Texas race because that's the first thing that had happened. That rain delay was absolutely fucking excruciating. It made the whole week feel just off. Something felt. It was like you were waiting just for 3 days. It was just a waiting game, and it was so frustrating. From Sunday to Wednesday felt so weird. I was gonna record a podcast on Tuesday, but I was like I said, I just didn't want to talk about rain the whole time, so I figured I'd save it, try to get everything that had happened throughout the last weekend in one show. But Kyle Busch finally got that dub. I felt like it was bound to happen. Since the summer months, maybe since like Kentucky race or that first Kansas race or something like that, Kyle Busch had started to kind of pull things together, still have some shitty luck. Like Talladega was probably the worst. Or Talladega or the Roval, one of them, Kyle Busch wrecked like every other crash. It's just unfortunate for him. But finally pulled through. Was not as excited as I thought he was going to be to win, but you could sense the relief on him. You could really see that he was just glad to get this monkey off his back, finally keep this record that he's been striving to keep forever, and he gets to try to defend that record next year. And now that the championship isn't attainable for him, he finally got that win, and I know he would have liked to have someone like Martin win to help him advance to the Final Four. If Kyle maybe already had a win or two, you could see something like that playing out. But again, Kyle Busch hadn't won all year. I don't think he was going to let anybody pass him. I think he was more than ready to defend every lane he could to try to keep that win for himself. And that was probably the first time I was genuinely excited to see Kyle Busch win a race since like 2013. Hadn't won all year. It's nice to see someone new, and as you get older, you learn to respect greatness and appreciate it at the same time. And when someone like Kyle Busch, you get to watch a legend like Kyle Busch race, you got to just appreciate it and say, all right, this man's going to be in the Hall of Fame, so let me enjoy his career while it's here, because you don't know how many other Kyle Busches are going to come along. So it was a great win. I remember Steve Letarte saying, I can't remember if Kyle Busch has ever won a fuel mileage race. That strategy call was great. I know Boyer pitted a little too early, or maybe didn't get enough fuel in the car. Their last stop, that would have been great to see him win too. He had a great car at Texas. It's good to see him turning it the hell up in his last couple races. He is a Martinsville win, so I expect some competitiveness out of him this weekend too. And the stress relief of knowing that you have zero expectations, you can just enjoy these last few races, I think is boding well for Clinton. I think it's gonna be well for him this weekend, and I'm not sure what his Phoenix record looks like, but Martinsville is definitely a good opportunity for him to try to get that last career win. But also, it is a greater opportunity for Jimmy Johnson to get that last win. My God, this feels like the last true chance for the 48 to get in victory lane. Not that he can't win at Phoenix, but you can assume that the champion is going to win at Phoenix. So boy, we need a 48 win for the soul. We just had Kyle Busch win. That's great. Good for the sport. Even better for the sport, that 48 in victory lane. Please, oh my God. I will cry. I've been waiting for this moment for years. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to record the reaction. My God, he's got to do it. He's got to do it. There is no way Jimmy Johnson is not going to be competitive on Sunday. Regardless if he wins or not, he is going to be there at the end. I promise you. I promise you. This feels like a storybook ending. This has to be the way it ends, right? It has to be a win at Martinsville. Same track, not same scenario as Jeff Gordon, but last Martinsville race, it has to happen, doesn't it? It has to. If a playoff driver doesn't win and it's not Jimmy Johnson, I don't know what to think. That has to, I don't even want to think about it. I just want him to damn win a race. My God, I just want to be so excited. I was watching him win that 7th championship just to reminisce on it a couple days ago. My God, I was getting choked up watching that. Just seeing someone so excited, someone that you've watched your entire life and care about and just want to see succeed and celebrate. You want to celebrate for them. You want to see that person be happy. You want to see them celebrate their career. Fuck what I feel. Fuck what any fan feels about Jimmy Johnson, even if they love him more than anyone. I want to see Jimmy celebrate. I want to see his team celebrate. I want to see him happy and satisfied. And that means more than anything. And I really, really pray it happens this weekend in Martinsville. Absolute storybook ending if it were to happen. And we're going to be pulling for it, rooting for it the entire time. I cannot wait. Let's see what else we got on the Cup race. If the Cup race finished on Sunday, the Texas race, I expected a completely different outcome because the trucks and Xfinity that weekend were wild. Caution fests, crazy finishes. So you could assume that they were on the path to do something along them lines. And it was misty in the first beginning of the race, and that caused real problems for someone like Harvick and Hamlin who had issues within the first 50 laps on Sunday. And then eventually the red flag came out. But that race, that weekend was shaping up to be a wild one. So I think the rain saved some of the chaos and maybe made it more of a tame event on Wednesday, because the only cautions I can really think of were early with Kenseth and Bubba. And then it was a lot of surviving and strategy was involved, and it was actually quite an interesting event for a strange race weekend. It's a must-win for everyone below the cut line this weekend. Bowman, Chase Elliott, Kurt Busch, Truex, they're all well over 20 points out of the top 4. So, I mean, that's basically a must-win. I mean, you could assume that the people above them are going to get some stage points unless they crash early or there's some mechanical issues. So all 4 of those drivers got to win, and only really 2 of them I can sit here and say could have an honest shot, and I'm going to go with Truex is probably the biggest threat to spoil the party, and Chase with a close second. Chase has had probably should have won this race in 2017, was it? 2017, Denny got into him, some along them lines. I want to say it was 2017. It was before he was in the 9 car, so that actually adds up. 2017, Chase probably could have won this race. I don't expect him to get moved out of the way really as bad as he did that time, but I think Chase could honestly have a pretty good shot at pulling through a win. Truex has had some absolutely dominant wins at this track, so if he has a great setup and James Small brings him something, been working on it all week because he was kicked out of Texas, had that 20-point penalty, which is humongous looking at the scenario that he's put himself in currently. Just about gained it all back in stage points last week, but I mean, you're still 24 out, or I mean, well over 20 out, so you got some work to do, Truex, and man, he would be less than 5, probably less than 10 out of the playoffs or out of the championship 4 if that penalty never had happened. And boy, is that a difference maker right now, an absolute crazy difference maker. But I don't really expect any shakeups unless the current top 4. I think the current top 4 will be the final 4 between Logano, Harvick, Hamlin, and Keselowski. Keselowski is another has also had incredibly dominant wins at this track. So I think the consistency at Martinsville bodes well for the top 4. Logano's already locked in. Kyle Busch isn't in the playoffs, so Harvick and Hamlin, I think, or at least Harvick is safe enough, and Hamlin is a Martinsville GOAT. So I think this Final 4, this cutoff race track bodes well for the people that are above the cut line. I don't think there's going to be any real shakeups unless some crazy things happen early or there's a lot more chaos than I truly expect. But I expect Truex to be very, very aggressive. Grant Enfinger aggressive tomorrow. Ben Rhodes aggressive. He is going to be moving through the field, doing everything he can. He's lost Martinsville races before on the last corner, so I think he's more than okay with winning it on the last corner. I don't think he's going to wreck someone. Truex, I've never really seen Truex intentionally dump somebody, but he will without a doubt give the bumper. No doubt in my mind, and I'm all for it. I'd like to see a Truex clutch win. That'd be pretty cool. Last lap pass, moving Logano out of the way, repeating history, but the opposite way. I'm for it. Absolutely for it. And he's going to be complaining the entire race, too, because he fails to not do that every freaking weekend. I mean, that block that Boyer threw him, regardless how crazy the block was, I mean, shut up, Martin. Just get on with it. I know you got shit to do, place to be, but come on. Everybody else got to win. Boyer only got 2 more opportunities to win a race, and you got however many more seasons you probably want. Although Truex is getting a little old, and Toyota doesn't really know what to do with their drivers once they get them. So, I mean, I could picture Truex either getting kicked out of the ride or retiring within the next 3 years, for sure. But that's 3 more years of complaining, because he is the king of doing that shit. If I had to pick a winner for Martinsville, I'm going Denny. He's had a rough couple weeks. Denny has not been the Denny Hamlin we're used to seeing earlier in the season, in the regular season. When's the last time Denny won a race? Let's find out. Has he won a playoff race at all? Denny Hamlin stats. Has Denny won a playoff race? Speaking of Denny Hamlin, that 2311 car got announced this week, and it looks freaking fantastic. The red and the white looks great. The black 23 reminds me of them Bulls jerseys. Looks great. Denny 7 wins this year. Last win that he has attained was Talladega. So he has 1 playoff win. Before that, it was the first Dover race. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 2 wins in the last 11 races for the 11 car. I know that's a fantastic season for most, but when you are a championship favorite, you need to win a little bit more. But I think Denny can get it done. Not that he needs a clutch performance, but he had a clutch performance last year at Phoenix to get into the Final 4. I think he pulls it together and gets a win off at Martinsville for his 8th. And then it's going to be a duel between Harvick and Hamlin at Phoenix, and I'm so pumped for that. It's going to be a great, great week. Larson to the 5 car is what I'm going to end on, because it was probably the bigger news that came out. It came out Tuesday, quote, mid-race, because they were trying to start that race Tuesday at noon or so. But yeah, Kyle Larson to the 5 car for Hendrick Motorsports in 2021. Cliff Daniels is going to be the crew chief. Rudy Fugle is going to be the crew chief for William Byron next year, replacing Chad Knaus, which I think is really good. Rudy Fugle is a absolutely legendary truck crew chief for Kyle Busch Motorsports, so seeing him get this opportunity is actually really cool. Should have won a championship with Byron. I can't remember the year, but they had 7 wins in the Truck Series that year, and I believe had an engine failure at Phoenix, missed the Final Four, and then came and won the Homestead race the week after. So you would assume if he made the Final Four, he would have won that Homestead race and won the championship. So redeemed himself the next year, winning the Xfinity title anyway. But regardless, cool to see Rudy Fugle come to the Cup Series. And I think that going from Chad Knaus to Rudy Fugle, that's 2 borderline, definitely 1 Hall of Famer and a borderline another one joining you right along the way. So William Byron is getting some of the best help he can, absolutely, throughout his career so far. But Larson to the 5, we're going to stick to that. The one issue I have with Kyle Larson to the 5 has nothing to do with Kyle Larson, has nothing to do with Hendrick Motorsports. I don't like that a lot of fans and people around the sport they don't like that Larson got the 5 because they feel as he made a mistake and he shouldn't be able to get an elite opportunity after making the mistakes he did, which is fair point to make. Absolutely. I saw the example of someone like Kurt Busch had to go to James Finch Racing for a year after making the mistakes he did, and they weren't nearly as heinous as maybe Larson. The vocabulary that Kurt used wasn't nice to Jerry Punch, but it wasn't as fucking foul as maybe Kyle Larson's choice of words. But I don't think it's fair to look at someone, specifically in a sport like NASCAR, where everyone knows that the competitive level is the competitiveness between teams, there is such a gap. So you can't sit here and say, yeah, Kyle Larson, go race for Rick Ware for a year and try to make something out of your career after it, because that's how careers die. Kurt Busch got transitioned to a shitty team at a decent enough point in NASCAR's history and a decent enough point of his career where Kurt Busch had a championship, had most of his career wins, and that race at Sonoma, you could argue, saved the future of his career. Got signed to that 78 team later in the year, and the rest is history. Literally, the rest is history. If Kurt Busch doesn't get signed to that 78, who knows what happens to that team? Who knows if they're competitive enough to even get Martin Truex and sign that JGR Alliance, win a championship, and walk off into the sunset. So I don't like that people are, I don't know if I want to say invalidating the opportunity that Kyle Larson has been given, but they feel it's slightly undeserved, which I think is kind of bullshit, because you can't sit here and say, as someone like Rick Hendrick, you are losing the literal greatest driver of all time. How are you going to fill that seat? You put keeping it in the family with Bowman, I like. That's a good move. Now open the opportunity for something completely new. You're telling me out of every free agent that you could possibly fill that seat, when downsizing has been a thing for that team for throughout the whole year has been a rumor, and it not happening, which is great, because that would be absolutely tragic if literally the most successful team arguably in NASCAR history downsizes. We can't have that. And you're going to sit here and say, oh, Kyle Larson made a career-altering mistake. He shouldn't get this second opportunity as soon as he did. I think is kind of not how it should be. Kyle Larson did what he had to do. And people who sent here, I haven't seen it a lot. I think a lot of people are happy for Kyle and honestly welcoming to have him back in the sport, which is way different than I thought how this was going to go. I thought people were going to still want him out and hate him for it, but there has been a lot of support coming Kyle Larson's way. So with all the support, it doesn't really make a lot of sense that I'm also saying that Kyle Larson shouldn't be in an elite ride. And who's to say this is an elite car? Stop acting like Hendrick Motorsports has lit the world up the last couple of years. They're the 3rd best team in racing. So if Larson went to Stewart House Racing, that 14 car, completely different story in my eyes. Completely different story. You're borderline starting a new team, not necessarily, because they're probably just getting all the 88's equipment and whatnot. But you're creating a whole new identity for a team. He has a new crew chief. Probably zero relationships with this team outside of meeting with frickin' Rick Hendrick. So I don't think that this opportunity is not undeserved. I think Kyle Larson has done a lot and continuing to do a lot. And the fact that he went dark from social media and just went and did what he felt like he had to do is fucking admirable. And I don't think that someone like Rick Hendrick should be like, have you done enough? Have you done enough? Maybe it would have made sense if he got an Xfinity ride or something like that, a full-time Xfinity ride. I think people would be more like, all right, this is a path to recovery. Another similar thing is like Allmendinger, when he raced for Penske, had that Adderall shit, lost a ride, came back and raced that 51, similar to Kurt Busch. But I think Rick Hendrick said everyone deserves second opportunities. America is a place for second opportunities. And if fucking Larson squanders it, get rid of him. But I can't sit here and say Kyle Larson doesn't deserve whatever he was given, you know? If he got put in the 18 car, if he got put in the 4 car, shit like that, the 11 car, like that's when eyebrows should be raised. But you're getting put into a whole new team, basically, whole new identity, haven't raced a cup car in fucking almost a year by the time the 2021 Daytona 500 rolls around. I don't think that saying that Kyle Larson shouldn't be in this opportunity because he deserves a harder route back to the top is really valid. I mean, he has done all he could, and I think that he has shown that he's ready to be a better person. And I mean, Kyle Larson, I saw on Twitter, I can't tell you who tweeted it, I wish I could, but the Kyle Larson, Bubba Wallace duo of activism and trying to just make people better and maybe make NASCAR a safer and healthier place for everybody is fucking huge. Kyle Larson has the ability to use his mistake as a blessing, and I think that's exactly the direction he's going. So we're going to see how that pans out. It's been a great episode. It's cold as shit in Massachusetts. I am freezing in my basement right now. But it's been a great day. Xfinity race is going to be a banger. Cup race is going to be a banger. You hear from me early next week. Tuesday I normally record. Come out maybe Tuesday night. Depending on how the Xfinity and Cup race goes. If it's exciting, I might get a Monday episode in. But plan for Tuesday night. It's been great. Everyone enjoy your day. Ben the NASCAR guy out.